I know you know him, but give him some love. Thank you very much. So, I'm still trying to get over myself, you know? That's a saying, so I have to explain it. Like, not take everything so seriously, you know, as I've aged. Just to be a little bit more patient or easygoing with myself, which is very difficult because I have hang-ups and, you know, I don't think I'm this and I don't think I'm that. And I know my shortcomings. I've been able to assess those well since I was a child. I know my faults. And so I know my weaknesses and my shortcomings on this. But, you know, like, it's a lot of music. I'm not like a virtuoso. I've never been a virtuoso. sometimes I just forget. It's like, so I just have to take it easy. I have to try to forgive myself. Because you know what? I realized when I was listening to this, I used to cringe and every time I make a mistake. Like somebody was I was stabbing myself or something. And then I thought one day, do you react like that when you hear somebody else play a wrong note? No. Do you make a face or move no? You just you let it go past you, right? Yeah. Well, why don't you do that when you play one? And especially for reason like if you're on stage. So I'm better about that now, and it doesn't hurt quite as much, and I'm better able to negotiate it into something. But anyway, yeah, I just started thinking about that. So what's the format? What do you want to do? You want to play? How do you usually do it? It's open, or what do you usually do? Some people
can ask, but don't open it too much because it can get...
It can go crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So...
I like the fact that we had a switch in the drums.
We have to listen to the elders. By the way, this is the great Yotis Samaras. He's been our Greek jazz pioneer here. You might have seen him online. So I'm going to go with the elders' advice and request another tune from you.
Okay.
Maybe. If you like.
You want to play one?
He wants you to play one. With us.
Okay.
And I can play all day long until we...
Let me do something.
It was impressive the first time I saw you.
Really?
I didn't expect it. But it was like that.
I went full circle. Because early in the beginning, I had trouble. Like if you heard clean sweep,
yes,
very troubly. And then as I got older, I think of darkening, and then now like in recent years, it's more trouble. Like wait till you hear this. So I have this big band record with the
West Montgomery.
Yeah, it's a big band with the Chicago Jazz Orchestra, which is the oldest running big band in Chicago, and then they added full string section, 24 strings. And we did new arrangements on West Montgomery songs, right? So songs that West did in a small group, organ trio. Some we kept 2 of the original arrangements, but the rest are all brand new, and the arrangers are like, wait till you hear this record. I think it's coming March 6th or 7th, whatever that Friday is in March. It'll be released. It's called More Amore, tribute to West Montgomery. So please look out for that. Wait till you hear the treble on that.
Okay.
Trying to cut through all that strings and horns, and they're doing their shouts, and I'm supposed to be blowing over it. Like, man, give me some more treble along 12. What about let's make that the first day. take some questions now. Oh boy.
Well, first, we gotta wait for the boss to hit the last hit.
The what? The what?
We gotta wait for the boss to hit it.
My bad.
What?
You don't hit before the boss. Fine.
Whatever. No.
Okay.
All right.
Questions?
Floor is open.
Yes.
I want to ask, because you said like you moved from more trebly sound, more dark sound, and then again, how physically, how biologically have you adjusted? I mean, every human, his hearing changes.
Different, yeah.
So how do you listen yourself in the past, and whether you like it as a sound? I mean,
As a sound, yeah. Well, that's been a sticking point for me, for the duration. As far as I'm concerned, my sound is always. It started out as peculiar. Like I felt like I sounded weird. Like I used to say I sound funny, because I didn't sound like the guys I wanted to sound like, the people I idolized, like Wes and George Benson, Pat Martino, and others. It was me. So it's like listening to yourself talk, and you go like, oh God. People say, oh, you have a great voice. I'm like, what? So I thought my first record sounded good, like sonically, the guitar, clean sweep. That's got a great sound today. You put that on YouTube and it sounds like great. Those were the first guys to do CDs in jazz. They were among the first label to do digital recording. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Not my favorite on like the Crisscross records. I don't think I got a sound that I was satisfied with. The way I play was live, so it was just from somebody's mini disc from the stage. So that was my sound, because it's coming off the stage, my amp, and probably a lot of the guitar, because the person was probably that far away. That's where the audience started. We're in a club, and you could hear like the acoustic quality of the instrument as well. What's his face? Andrew Renfro talks about that. Like that, I think that he says in an interview that influenced us. That's why he uses like a microphone and the pickup, because of the way I play. I'm like, what? So that's cool. When did it start getting dark? Like, Stand was kind of dark. I don't know if you know that record. It's it was kind of dark. I was playing a Yamaha. I played different guitars at different times too. For in the 80s I played Yamaha guitars. I was fortunate enough that I was going to Japan, and I was young and probably looked like a cute little kid, and I could play a little bit, and they gave me like they made some L5 copies, and they were good guitars. So that was what Stand, Modern Man. Those were good sounding years. Those were good sounding records. Modern Man, I'm thrilled with the way that guitar sounds on that. So that was, but darker, like no trouble, not no trouble, but very little. My settings on the amp, I've come to a place where like I have a set thing a way that I set the amp. But I just find that more recently, I just want to hear a little bit of a cut on the top, just a little, not plink. I like when you get that plink and it hits the speaker funny. I hate that. And this big band record is borderline that, but because of the rest of the instruments, it's okay. I think it makes it okay. So I don't know if I answered your question, but it's just you just change, and you're always searching for. When I think about the changes in like Sonny Rollins' sound, he had his initial thing, and then in the 60s he started to adopt the growl in his sound, and then maybe by the 90s and into the aughts, the 2000s, it was kind of a blend of both, because in the 70s and 80s that growl was really prominent, and then he lessened it and integrated it more with his original, his first sound. I mean, it always sounds like Sonny Rollins. It's going to sound, there's an essence to it. So I think that's also important to note, that we all have a sound, whether we know it or not, or whether we like it or not, and it's up to us to come to a point of acceptance. And I think that's what I was talking about earlier about the being more patient and more easygoing, acceptance of, you know, things that, you know, whatever, everything really. So, yeah. More questions? Translate. I know he's got one. I want to hear you play. Freaking it. Yeah, I need to hear you play. Look, I knew you got to hear you play.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
It has to do with your time frame. It's I don't know, the least to say outstanding. How to put it. The question has to do with how do you develop that, or how did it develop over time? Right? I know it's a difficult one, but
yeah, no, I laugh because so many people. The first time I met Andrew Renfro, I met Andrew Renfro and Alex Wentz at the same time, and they asked. That was the first thing they asked. Yes. Man, your time feel, man. Like, how do you get? And I'm going to answer it right now, and don't think I'm an asshole. Feel the time. That's why it's called a time feel. But you have to feel the time. It's the most important, dare I say, I mean, without it, I mean, you could play wrong notes. I found a Dizzy Gillespie clip. Has anyone seen the Dizzy Gillespie clip where he's fronting, I forget the big band, but it's a European big band, and it has Jan Garbarek in it. You seen that clip? And then they're rehearsing, and then like as they continued that groove, it started to falter and waver, you know. And Dizzy starts looking around at people's feet, and people are starting to fumble a little bit with the timing. And this, you know, wait a minute. He starts in his mumbling Dizzy way, explaining that, you know, I'm looking at people's feet. And you know, you got funny feet. People's feet are funny. It's like, you know, you doing like this when you play. It's like a drummer or something, he says. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect. I rip that clip and I play it for my students. I teach an improvisation class. And in my lessons sometimes it comes up and I run and show this clip. But he says, you know how I think of this? And then he said, no, on second thought, no, that's not. But that's how I'm counting or feeling. And the beat is this. And you know what I'm saying over this? Now, that's 16th notes. 1 eana, 2 eana, and this is half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So it's math. It's superimposing numbers. It's subdividing. That's all it is. I'm saying this is half, but you know, if this is 1 eana, 2 eana, then that is a quarter note. But who gives a shit what the number is? You gotta feel it. 1 eana, 2 eana, 3. So then, like Dizzy said, if I want to hit bit bit bop, bit it up, bop. Bit bop, bit bop, bit up, bit up, bit up, bit up, bop. I'm not missing any of those beats because chicka has got to be consistent. This has to be consistent. So to answer your question directly, I think I always loved music from when, I mean, I'm sure we all did, but you know, I was like crazy because like, when pop songs would come on the radio, like I had to get excited like a friend came over to visit. Like, hey man, how you doing? Come, like, you know, let's go play, you know. What? So, you know, I'm like, was into music and listening and hearing all the different instruments and stuff. And I'm sure I was moving or tapping or something when I listened to music. It's something you have to get used to doing. You have to make it a habit of feeling. The music has to be in your body you have to kind of dance. I know, it's a little embarrassing, but whatever, get over it. And at least be able to, and don't be constricted to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 all the time, right? Because you want to separate. So when I started to like really practice and have like some goals, and I was probably 14 when I realized, okay, I'm going to do this. I knew music theory. I'm going to try to put it together and figure it out in a jazz perspective. Okay, so like, I know I need to know all my scales. I didn't even know what they all were, but I need to know my scales and my arpeggios. So I would sit and, figure out the fingering. I'm talking the very beginning. Looking at the little grid until I, for like 2 minutes or whatever minute, so until I remembered well enough the pattern. There are 5 of them for me. And then now the real practice begins. Turn the metronome on. Tick. Like, imagine how fast can I play this accurately and evenly, with every note sonically balanced and, with control. What do I imagine that tempo to be? Okay, probably like, and that shit was hard to just do this. It takes so much self-control to not want to do something else, or just think about something else, or I feel an itch, or what am I going to do later? What am I going to have for lunch? Just to block shit out. Like you're learning to like block everything out and be here and be right here, and that's all. Nothing else. Right? Be here now. What does that have to do with the time feel? Well, okay. Doing it with the metronome. The metronome to me did not feel like the music I heard on the radio. It did not feel the same. It felt strict and a little bit rushed, like not rushed, but like insistent in a way that I did not like. And I thought, I think I can do this evenly because I've listened to enough music and I trust my beat. I think I always trusted my beat, even back then. So now the goal is to marry the two, which is it's only about coordination and patience and self-control, because you want to do something else. But I'm like, I don't know if I can actually do this until I do it. So if I do it without making a mistake, maybe 2 or 3 frets up, then I'll go faster, but not until the end, not until I convince myself that I can do it. Right? And so I did that, and I go, okay, that tempo is cool. So then I might have, gotten to a place pretty quickly where I realized I could say, as soon as I got to a point where it was like, or even, I was like, wait, there's something wrong here, because that's tired. This is tired. It's getting tired, right? What can I do? This is all the shit that's going in my head. I'm in my room. I don't have a teacher. I'm in my room. So I'm crazy. But, like, what can I do? Okay, what if I go, I cut it in half. Oh, I'm already more relaxed up here. Up here, I'm already more relaxed. But this is still strict. So now I'm subdividing. I'm playing eighth notes. I did that with every scale, every arpeggio, until it was. And now that does some shit to your technique, because you can't play slowly with the same technique as you do fast. So you have to learn your own reflexes It's coordination. You have to learn your coordination, right? Okay. That's what we're talking about. So the time feel is established by you. You have to, it's got to be so important that the beat is even. So important. If you can't do it, then you must use a metronome, I guess. And I would say put the beats on the metronome as far apart as possible. So it'll say tick, tick. You can get it to do that now, right? You can put them apart now, but back in the day with the little black one with the dial, you couldn't get it. It wouldn't go that far down, you know? But now you can make it do anything. The digital metronomes in the phone. So eventually, and I'm talking like, I was 14, 24, probably 20, around 24, 25, 26 is when I realized some acceptance of something that I was doing. Some part of my sound didn't sound as funny. Some part of my playing was like, oh, wait, what is that? I like that. What is that? 26 years old. And I started to practice, from playing with Sonny. The time is here. So say the time is here. And that's how he plays. It's like a bird. And when he would go off the grid, so to speak, see, and me and his nephew, the trombonist Clifton Anderson, used to call it hieroglyphics. He's playing that here. He goes, did you hear those hieroglyphics he was playing today? It's like, yeah, man. So I started to practice like that. Like practice being free of the time, but keeping the time.
Like you mean transcribing or
no,
playing covers?
Me.
Okay.
Me.
Like doing it by yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm not transcribing. No.
Or try to imitate it somehow.
No, because let me tell you, let me talk about transcribing. I'm trying to remember if anyone was, because I wasn't in the school like for it. I was at home. It was me and the records and my brain with book. I would buy books. Oh, I was buying books. Any book that I thought I could learn something from, and then I'd get the book and I'd look and it'd be chapter 1, blah 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 blah. I'm like, come on, man, get to where's the good shit? Like, whatever. Let me just keep doing what I'm doing. I don't think anyone said I had to, you should transcribe whole solos. So I decided. Because, my hero was George Benson. I mean, because he's the one that made me want to do this. Like, to pursue music on this instrument for a livelihood. Because when I first heard him, I went like, jaw hit the floor. I didn't know guitar could be played like that. I didn't know about jazz at that point. I was just starting to get into, like, I'd heard Herbie Hancock, Mr. Magic. I mean, Chameleon, and Mr. Magic by Grover Washington, and I thought, I wonder if somebody does something close to that on the guitar. So I went to the store, and the guy gave me this record, and I took it home. I was like, oh my God, like what? So if that's possible, I want to do that. Not that specifically, but the way that it makes me feel. I want to be able to make myself feel that way from my own playing one day. Just feel exhilaration, express sadness, joy, passion, all the different feelings that I heard in the music from his mastery and artistry. So I mean, I knew initially that I'm not going to try to copy him because I can't. I don't know what the hell he's doing. But I'm gonna love it, just like I love all the other music that I love. But now it's like exclusively this and jazz, because I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna find out who the people are and what this story is and what's happening, right? But he was the impetus for that. Transcribing. So I'm not taking note. The only Benson solo I ever transcribed, and it was just a physical feat to see if it was humanly possible for anyone else to play this one solo on Off the Top, where he plays all the 16th notes. I transcribed that, and I played it along with the record maybe once or twice, and it was like, okay, just to see also like how he maneuvered, like how's he thinking? I don't think I got it. I wasn't advanced enough to really see, but it helped, I'm sure. But anyway, that was one of the only full solos I transcribed. My philosophy was, if I transcribe this one Peter Bernstein, I get students, they come to me, especially grad students. Well, yeah, especially because they've developed. And they sound like Peter Bernstein, which is great. I love Peter Bernstein, but you are not him. You should not do that. That's a rule in jazz, that we don't copy. We're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to find our own thing. Yes, we use our heroes as inspiration and motivation, but don't copy. I don't like when people sound like me. I don't like it. I mean, it's not even, it's flattering, but that's not the part of myself that I like. I don't like that part. And no, don't do that. Find your own thing. And we all have it. We just have to find it. We have to work hard to find it. So I thought, if I transcribe a line, because for me, jazz was a language. When I realized it pretty quickly after that record, the George Benson record, and then I went out and started buying. Oh, he liked Wes Montgomery. Oh, my teacher used to talk about Wes Montgomery, and I always just go, yeah, okay, and then whatever. I had a teacher from 12 to up to 14, and then I left him, and then I went on my own. And I thought, if I take from the same person, I'm going to sound like that person. It doesn't make sense to do that. They're already doing it. Why would I want to copy? But I'm listening to the music and I'm saying there's something about this music that is similar. This is when I was trying to figure out, like, what do I need to be trying to learn or practice or glean from these records. There's something, it's like a language or something. It's like there's certain parts where they sound like they're playing like much of the same kind of thing. Well, where is that? Well, when the music does this, that's when it feels like the lines are very similar. I was very ignorant. I didn't know what I was, but that must be a cadence, like, because it's the cadence and then this resolution. Or maybe that's the 2-5-1. That's the thing they talk about all the time in the books. Maybe that's the 2. And then I started to listen to the records for those. Yes, that's where it is. It's on the 2-5-1s. I need 2-5-1 lines. So I just started to, and taking them from, I like that one from Freddie Hubbard. I like that one. If I do that, no one will know where I get it from. It'll just be jazz, which is the point. It's not about this. This is the tool. I could do it in my voice. I can scat my ass off. I could scat my ass off before I could play anything on here. I could play like very little. I'd be walking from school, singing on a blues, scatting the hippest stuff. Get in the house, I'm going to practice, and get in the room with the guitar, and all of it would like shut down because I see the thing that is my block, this. So that to transfer this to this is the hard work. Right? So I said a lot. I said a lot in that when the question was about time feel, and then I veered off because you said transcribing. No, you can't develop a time. Well, maybe you can. I don't like to be absolutist like that. That's not cool. Maybe you can develop a time feel from transcribing someone else's time feel. Huh? That seems weird to me, but hey, if it works for you, go for it. I think keep good time and never waver, even if you make a mistake here. Okay? I started to notice like maybe my time was kind of good when I could have a conversation and this was even. 1, 2, 3. Right now I'm having a conversation and none of my words have anything to do with metronomic subdivision of this. Right? But I think it was pretty good. Right? So practice that at home.
Can I ask Dan something?
Yeah.
Can you think of a drummer as explained the Sonny Rollins way, hieroglyphically?
Say that again.
Can you think of a drummer who plays like Sonny Rollins, you said, hieroglyphically?
Elvin. Jack. Hari, yeah. Ari Honig. I'm just all of the greats. All of the greats that can know where the time is, even internally without physically, because you internalize it after a while. Don't make the mistake, I sometimes ask students, are you keeping time? I say, yeah. Where? In my head. No, that's not true. Because no one counts 1, 2, 3, 4 when we play. When we're playing, it's not possible. So, sorry to hurt anyone's feelings if that's what they do. But no one I know does that, and I don't do that. Okay, so. But you can internalize the beat. If you say 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now I'm going to have a conversation and try to internalize the beat. 1, okay? So, whatever. It's still in here. 1. It's still in me until the song stops. So, other drummers. You get the point. Yeah. People that can play loose, with a loose feel, but not lose the drive of this. That has a drive. One of the worst, one of the things about jazz that, the lay person, the person that doesn't know, most people don't like, they say, oh, I don't like jazz. Well, probably because they heard some jazz at at some event somewhere, and it was sad. The people in the doom 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 doom, and then the rest of the music on top of that, right? But if it's boom boom bing 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 ging 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 ging, that's going this way.
Yes.
It makes you feel like, oh shit, what's going on? Something's going to happen. You feel exhilarated or excited, or at least like it's not bad. Yeah, I think it's just becoming free when you can become so familiar with or comfortable with your own beat and with the things that you can do, your own coordination.
But you need discipline in the beginning in order to
absolute discipline. Because what are you free of if not something? You have to establish the thing to be free of, right? Or you can just be free, and if you're just free, then that's avant-garde or a different style of music, right?
Let me ask something. When you cut in half the time with your foot, do you count always in 1 and 3, sometimes 2 and 4?
Meaning with the foot?
Yes.
That's a great question, because in the beginning, jazz is supposed to be 2 and 4, with the hi-hat, right? Yeah, and that's a common idea. You know, I mean, it is true. You know, the hi-hat is like the cloud that was like the snare drum in funk, 2 and 4, right? In jazz, it's the hi-hat. It feels different, but it's still 2 and 4. So in the beginning, I tapped on 2 and 4. What am I thinking about? I was thinking about a tune. But I practice and tap mostly in 2 and 4. And then as I got more experienced or whatever, or maybe just was playing music more, you know, I noticed sometimes I would flip it because I wanted to. I just felt made me, I just needed that drive in the moment. Now I like 1 and 3 better. And I hear that a lot of the older cats, that's what they like, 1 and 3.
Because I have done the opposite, and I don't know.
There's no right or wrong way, because if 1, 2, 3, and 4 are even, and what I mean by even is that there's this equidistance, the same amount of space in between each beat. So what happens if you play your cymbal beat? Play a cymbal beat for me on this quarter note, like you're playing jazz. Okay, see already. Okay, I'm gonna give you that one. You were putting your coffee down. That's cool. Okay, so let me make a comment about that. First of all, jazz is not ta-ting. It's not that. It's this. Play quarter notes. 1, 2, and the way you're playing them is great because you're not chopping. You're not cutting it off. You're letting the full. Go ahead and like you were with that full stroke, so you feel the beat. Right? Now, when you get bored, when you feel like you're gonna die or you lose concentration, ta-ting, ting, ting. When you feel like it's about to drop, and you put that ta-ting in there just to liven it up. Yep. And sometimes you put a tang, an upbeat. And that can do 2 things. That can enliven the consistency of the beat. It can enliven the constant beat, and it can also make for a response and an accent or a reply, a response to something that happened, or an anticipation of something that, a section in the music, or somebody played something, a line, and you say with them or in response to them, so that has different meanings too. But it also means I'm gonna nudge this beat just so we don't all fall asleep with the quarter note. But the quarter note, I've heard some players play that quarter note and that's all they play, and that shit feels so good. Right? So the ta-ting is overrated. It's highly overrated. What was the question? It was about... What was the question?
We're talking about the timing.
2 and 4, 1 and 3. So my biggest... my pet peeve, one of my pet peeves is truncated beats. You know what I mean? Truncated meaning chopping off little bits of the beat. So if we say, I don't know if I can do it. I hope not. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. That's not even, right? Right. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Right? No. So the awareness of that, the discipline of insisting in oneself that cannot happen. I cannot let that happen. I cannot emit that when I'm making music. It can't be. So if we're all responsible like that, you, me, you, everybody that's playing the saxophone, the trumpet, everybody, that's why great jazz sounds the way it does. Because when they say, Sonny said, I want, I do, I want, yeah, he meant that shit. And we all believed it. And we were like, hell yeah. And even if the beat got turned around, it was still the beat. It may be on a different, like 3 might be 1 now. I mean, 3 might be 2 now, or however the beat gets flipped. I think 3 would be 1. Yeah, whatever, it's still the beat. The chord and the pulse is still the same. Like a heartbeat, it's still the same. And the question then is, what are we going to do? Because we have to make a decision very soon. Like we can't be fumbling until everything goes right. So that's a different story. Anyway.
But there's no rule that okay.
Nope.
No rule.
No rule. The rule is strict time. Yeah. What you got one?
Yeah. I'm wondering if you could talk about how you hold the guitar.
What do you mean?
I imagine now you can hold it however you want, but for me, I have someone who's not practicing a lot. I have weak fingers, and back in the day, my guitar teacher always stressed, keeping the left thumb behind the fingers or not moving your right wrist. Did you ever, at one point, have to remind yourself to do something like this, or did it just come naturally with the discipline practice?
It came with the discipline. Yes, I was taught, you look at the book and it says like this, Yeah, loosely. But when you're practicing and practicing consistently and regularly, you start to realize in order to execute things accurately as possible, you have to give yourself some allowance to do that. And whatever your allowances are become your technique. And you have to adopt that and exploit your technique. I don't know. I make sure the strap, like it feels like if I stand up, the guitar is going to feel the same distance, or how am I saying? When I stand up, the guitar should feel the same as it does when I'm sitting down. Like there's still a little bit of tension here. It's not loose. You see that? If I sit up straight, which I'd like to do, especially when I'm playing, I can still feel a little bit of weight there. So that's good. It's going to be in the same place when I stand up as when I sit down. So that makes, and then this is going to be consistent from standing to sitting. And now I have my place that I play. I think it's more here, but I would like it if it were here because I like that sound, but it's hard for me to get it up there. So I don't, whatever, it ain't that important. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
The practice part is the thing.
So may I step in?
Yes, you may.
We had dinner already, so I know, but I would like you to share.
What?
So, to my ears,
Yes.
humble ears, I hear all this stuff you describe already. Like, your if your music was a dish, the ingredients, what you bring to the table is a mixture of all these experiences of your lifetime, right?
Yeah.
So I hear a lot of Sonny Rollins, Motown, the classic rock songs of your childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about you just share your favorite music all time?
Wow. Yeah. It's so all over the place. It's so all over the place because I grew up in the 70s, really. In the 60s was when I started to, my fascination with music when I was like 4 or 5, right? So I was born in 61. So, we're talking like the radio in America was all over the place. Top 40 was every style. There was no segregation of classic rock or rock and roll, R&B, jazz, country. It wasn't that for top 40 in American pop music at that time. A pop song crossed styles. The pop song, the characteristics of a pop song had to be, the melody was good, memorable, singable probably. And it had to have a good feeling. And then you could have a hit. The artist had to, create something compelling. And those were probably the three main ingredients. And it didn't matter the style of music. You could hear big band. Sammy Davis Jr. could have a hit. Frank Sinatra had plenty of hits. Tony Bennett. These are crooners with big bands, or maybe a rhythm section sometimes. I don't remember too many of those. But the country songs would be pop hits. Blues, not so much. But sometimes rhythm and blues, soul. All these things I'm hearing because of Top 40 radio. So that shaped my aesthetic and, my acceptance of different types of music. Right? And then in the 70s, I think radio in America was kind of 10 years the precursor of social events or conditions in that country. That's just my theory. I've not done any research, and, it's probably shit, but that's okay. That's what I think, because 10 years later, they start talking a lot about integration. They weren't talking about that in the 60s. Oh, no. Right? But the radio was. Right? And then in the 70s, all of a sudden, and so my family integrated too. We moved from Harlem to a mixed. Everybody lived in the neighborhood. I grew up around all kinds of people from Europe, from people, immigrants, and people from the West Indies, and people from the everywhere, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, everywhere, and the music changed. Now all of a sudden it's different stations for different categories. Well, it was too late then. By then, I had already been shaped. And then I discovered jazz. It took me a while. I wasn't accepting of it very easily. I thought it was weird. But, I changed my mind. So that's it. That's just how... So then when I, because I was a jazz purist in a way, in my late teens, a kind of, the blues, that's pedestrian, that's lowly. They only play man, I'm into jazz, that's blues. I don't play the blues. But meanwhile, I still played the blues in my own playing because it's part of the American culture. You can't escape the blues. So I had this weird, cognitive dissonance going on in my head. I changed my tune about that. Two experiences. One was playing with Dr. John. I realized, motherfucker, you can't play the blues for shit. I remember the third gig that I did with him. I went to his hotel room and I said, or I just, on the gig or after the gig or before the gig, I said, hey, Mac. I said, man, I'm a jazz guy. I said, man, if I'm not cutting it, because I know how I sound. I said, if I'm not cutting it, man, don't hesitate to. It's cool, man. I know how I'm sounding. He's like, man, what are you talking about, Bobby? You sound good. Just keep doing what you're doing. I'll let you know if something's wrong. Okay. Meanwhile, for 6 years we're doing all these. We did all kinds of different festivals and stuff, but a lot of them were blues fests, and with real blues players, real blues guitarists that can make those 5 notes and the ones in between speak. And I have had a newfound respect for the blues, even though I'd always it was always a part of my playing. I'm geez, what the hell was I thinking? The other experience was playing with Chris Foreman from Chicago. Who's a blind organist, and blues is his passion. So it's that saying blues is the preacher and jazz is the teacher, right? And in this band we had the Deep Blue Organ Trio, that we had all of that in that band. We had him and we had me. And then he played jazz and he could play jazz and I could play the blues, but having conversations with him in blues vernacular was it was like going to a family reunion and seeing people that, you're so familiar with, and, they may say something, an inside joke or a phrase that only you understand, and you laugh and you share that. That was how we played. And he'd say something, and we'd, laugh, and I'd do something, and and he'd, So, yeah, the blues is all right. That's a song. Yeah. So that's it. I think at some point I wanted to play the pop songs of my childhood. It was because of how much they mean to me. And I thought one day, I think I was in my 30s, I thought one day, I think I heard Layla on the radio when Eric Clapton did it unplugged. So here the song comes back. It comes back now as a new version. And I was driving the car and it came on the radio and I thought, wow, yeah, remember that? And I remember that song from when I was at sleepaway camp when I was like 9. And then I remember the part at the end, which is like the ballad part, ding. Let's see. Right? And then... Yeah. That's memories of my childhood. Like I remember where I was and things I was doing when I would hear that. And I heard the song and I thought, man, one day I want to be able to play these songs that I love, but not yet. Because I got to do a lot of shit before I can, I got to get my sound together and my playing and I have to wait. I can't do it yet, but one day. So anyway, question.
Can you name some of the blues players that spoke to you?
I knew somebody was going to ask that. I specifically, and you know what? By no means am I a follower of the music. So I don't know all of the, I probably don't know most of the important players. I probably couldn't name the top 10, but maybe I could. But anyway, the ones that spoke to me, like if I were to study this, and me not being able to play the blues like that was, I realized, they dedicated as much time at that, into that, or to that, as I dedicated to jazz. That's the answer. So, am I willing to no, I'm not that attracted. I don't want to be able to do that badly enough. I feel bad that I can't, but I don't want to do it badly enough to sit in my hotel room and practice it to get it better. That sounds a little weird now to come to think of it. I should have maybe done that, but no, I was doing other stuff. So, when I heard T-Bone Walker and when I heard Johnny Guitar Watson, I thought if I were to sit and practice and glean, and those would be my models, because they have a sound and a phrasing style that I like, that I can relate to, that would be my impetus, and then I could go from there. So those are like the two for me that I kind of feel more aligned with. I like Albert King too, I like a lot of them. My favorite blues guitarist that I'm aware of currently is Eric Gales. And then my favorite guitarist overall, barring style, is Jeff Lee Johnson. Many people probably haven't heard of him.
Yeah.
Jeff, J-E-F, 1 F, Lee Johnson. Look him up. He should have been on the cover of Guitar Player magazine multiple times. He died 5, 6, years ago. Multiple recordings. Incredible musician. Not jazz, but yes, some jazz in there. Like, Sko could... Oh, you need to check... next time I see Sko, I got to remember to ask him about Jeff, like if he knew of him or knew him or something. Because, whew. And just, great overall singer-songwriter. Played country blues with the slide. Played blues, gut bucket blues. Played classic rock sounding. Heavy metal, things bordering on jazz, like on the changes, you go like, what? Like, yeah, it's my favorite of all time. You can see some stuff on him on YouTube too. More? Yeah, got another one.
Could you talk a little bit about Pat Martino's approach to music theoretically?
No. No, I cannot. Because, when I took 5 lessons with him, I was 15. I was just glad to be in his presence. He didn't do the numbers thing, the graphs and charts and, astrological. He didn't do that to me. I'm sure he wanted to spare me. I was just 15, He did do this thing with me, line studies, and he would sit there and write. He had perfect penmanship. It looked like Sibelius or something printed, just from him in his pencil. And then he would do these. He had these little index cards, white index cards, and he had a bunch of flare pens, different colors, and he would make these designs like a kaleidoscope on these little index cards, and he had a stack of them on his desk. It's like, whoa, kind of cool. He was very cool to me too. He says, "Do you listen to Wes Montgomery?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Do you know about his trio from Indianapolis?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Oh, you need to know. Do your parents? Does your dad have a reel-to-reel player?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, bring a blank reel-to-reel tape and I'll make you Guitar on the Go, So Much Guitar." He made me those records and put them on a reel-to-reel so I could have them. Yeah, it's very sweet. Very sweet. So he did that for me. He gave me the line studies, which was, I don't know, I'm making it up now, but it was essentially... So you see, I'm going down whole steps in, minor or dominant, however you look at that. In limited amount of frets. So say 6 frets. I didn't know what the hell, I wasn't that good yet to be able to do it. The other stuff is not important.
You mean the kind of astrological?
Yeah.
What about
to music, to jazz? That's Pat and his... Yeah.
Could I ask his use of the Dorian mode?
That
he has kind of a universal approach or something.
That I adopted. But not. Well, I won't say not because of him, because it probably was because of him. Because when I was listening, those were my big 3: Pat, George, Wes. Not in that order, but those were my big 3. I like Pat because his the way he approached his linear approach was accessible. What do I mean by accessible? Like I could hear it clearly. It was kind of consistent, kind of clear. Like he's. you know, you could and it was very like, yes, I think rhythmically consistent. People used to say, I don't like him, he's, you know, it's monotonous. I'm like, no, you're not listening to the lines though, and you're not listening to the rhythm too, because where he stops and starts is not monotonous. Like, what are you talking about? Get out of here. Yeah, the minor thing. So I heard and processed in my own brain in my room this music theoretically. I was just trying to figure out theoretically, how do I navigate chords? How can I make a 2/5 initially was the question. Oh, the book says Dorian and then Mixolydian. Okay, that makes sense. But now I'm listening to the music, and I go, I don't hear them splitting it up. Mm-hmm. Like when they get to the 5 chord, they don't split the line. They don't stop the line and do something different. They continue the one that came off the 2 chord. And sometimes, even just on the 5 chord, wait, the line sounds the same on the 5 chord if it's just the dominant chord. Oh. Maybe I don't even need to practice my Mixolydian modes. If I can process, when I have an E flat 7, it's B flat minor 7. When I have a G flat 7, it's D flat minor 7. What does the minor 7 mean? Dorian. Boom. Here's how I dealt with this. Was a big one. Okay, that's cool for the major 2-5-1, but what about the minor 2-5-1? What now? I didn't know about harmonic minor. I knew the Locrian mode, and then that's it. So what do I do on that dominant altered? Oh boy, this is the beginning. I have no clue. So my weird brain starts working. Well, wait. I know in music theory they said the relative minor comes from the major. So what if I play, so like D minor G7 going to C should be the same as B half diminished E7 altered going to A minor. So what if I play D Dorian on the minor 2-5? Let me see how that sounds. I probably had to record this into my cassette. You know, for as long as I could. And then I must talk about comping. How many guitar players are here? Wow, okay. I must talk about comping. So I would do that for long enough to like actually play over it and not have to start it again, which is a whole nother topic. But so then I'm 3, 4. Oh shit, that works. So now I'm like, okay, all right. So any line I play, yes, I hear it. Then I started to hear the records too and like corroborate that. Like, not that they were doing exactly those lines, but bits and parts of them was that. Bits and parts of everybody's lines were that. Yeah. Not that they processed it from being Barry Harris teaches, he'd kill me. He's all Mixolydian, right? But if we played together, how do you think it would sound? Exactly my point. So it doesn't matter how you process it. So I happen to process it Dorian because it helped me explain things to me. It explained everything. Listen, the major scale is the precursor, is the basis, the foundation of everything in music, right? It has to be explained from the perspective of the major scale. You start with the major scale to get to the relative, to the natural minor, to get to the other derivative minor scales, harmonic and melodic, right? But it starts with the major scale. So if you can start everything with the major scale, why can't you use the Dorian as a way to, for yourself to make the music? I don't care about the processing. I just care about sounding like a jazz musician. That was my goal. As simple as my little line sounded, the elders started to, okay. Sound good. I'm like, oh shit, okay, I have to go home and practice some more. Yeah. So, That's it about the concept. And I mean, I'm not going any, you know, it's not any more heady or intellectual than that. It's just make it work now. So, shit, now I'm hearing like, why are they playing? Wait, why is it? I'm on the record now. There's a line, that line right there. Ooh, what is that? This is with the turntable, or maybe a cassette, but probably the turntable. Okay, I gotta listen for after that note. Oh my God, that's crazy people stuff. With a vinyl disc and you know, picking it up and putting it, trying to. Ugh. Why are they playing? That's a F minor 7. This was A flat major 7, but relative to F minor, that's an F minor 7. I'm thinking of the F minor 7 Dorian. It's a, why are they playing F Dorian notes over D minor to G7? Okay, wait. How am I going to process this? Okay, so a G7 chord has these notes in it. How do the F Dorian notes relate to the G7 chord? Okay, so you got the flat 7, the root, the flat 9. Okay, but oh, it's altered sounding. Oh, you got altered notes. Oh, okay. Cool. So that means you can go up 1 minor third on a 2/5 and get a cool sound and play the same kind of lines you would play on the original 2 chord, just up a minor third, and get a hip altered thing. Can you go up another minor? And my brain was like wanting to know. Very curious. Can you go up another minor third? Oh, it's not the tritone substitute. Oh yeah, that's a little weird. That one note is a little weird, but that's not weird enough to make me not do this because all the other notes sound good. And in the context of a melody, that note is going to be cool for the melody. So, yeah, my stuff is highly Dorian based. Yeah. All right. So the guitar thing, and there was something I was going to say about that. Comping. Thank you. Please practice comping. Okay. It will make you a better player in many ways, and it will make you more hireable because nobody's going to hire you for your tremendous solo. Right? I would come play in my band so you can take a great solo. Now you better be able to accompany them and make them sound good, right? Or just don't play when until it's your solo, which is no fun for anyone. So how did I learn to comp? I didn't know about play long records. And it was my answer to having someone to play with was, oh, what if I comp into my cassette and record, and then, okay, so if I'm going to practice on the tune I keep trying to think of, the Days of Wine and Roses. What if I want to practice Days of Wine and Roses? Okay, so I would need a melody in chorus, melody out chorus, and I still teach like this. This is my students' assignments, right? Chorus in, chorus out, comping 2 or maybe 3 choruses of for the solo. 5 choruses. Comping track. Make a comping track, not edited. All the way through comping track. 5 choruses. The beat better be good. It's got to be good enough for you to then make another track, or if you don't have that capability, play the comping track out loud on your speaker, play along, record that. Hopefully you have that capability, right? Make me a performance tape, and I like video. Make me a video, okay? This happened as a result of the pandemic. Because I'd be in lessons and, next week learn this tune. Okay, come. Okay, you got it together? Yeah, okay. Let's play. And they sound pretty good. And then, okay, my turn to solo and the tune falls apart. And it's like I'm invigorated because they're sounding good or better or whatever. And the music's feeling like halfway decent. And then it falls apart. And it's like a big letdown. Like, that cannot happen. But, telling someone to practice comping, like, no, not many people are going to respond to that. But then the pandemic came, and I went, aha, now's my chance. What's your assignment this week? What I just said. Okay? Now you have to do it, because I'm not going to be there to play with you and to hold you up. So they came back like, this is over Zoom or whatever. They're breathing heavy. I think this is okay, but you don't understand. Like, what's going on? What's the matter, man? Well, you don't understand. It's like it took me 50 takes to get this, and it's pretty good, but I don't know. So we listened to it, and I go, man, that's pretty good. You know, that sounds okay. But you don't understand. I'm like, no, I do understand, and now you understand. You have to practice comping. It took 50 takes to get it good enough for you to play with. I learned quickly, but when I played the cassette back, like, I can't play with that. It feels like crap. The time is not good. I'm overplaying. I'm playing wrong chords. The beat is funny. Like, whatever the critique was, I had to fix it. Like, if I don't want to play with me, who else is going to want to play with me? So I learned to fix it. But how do you do that? Less is better. When I listen to the cassette back, and less is better, and if I concentrate on grooving and playing less, I started to hear rumors around New York City. Oh, such and such says you can really comp. I'm like, what? I only know the same chords, a lot of the same chords that I play. I've added things, but these chords. So now I play better now because I like that, but these chords. Those are the only chords I knew. Those are the only chords I knew. And I graduated to the ones without the roots by just taking the roots off and seeing the upper strings. And then I was in a rut, and I called Kevin Eubanks, and I said, man, I'm in a rut. Like, you get who can I go to take a lesson? He said, Ted Dunbar. Go to Ted Dunbar. He was at Rutgers. I went to him one lesson. He showed me these fourths. Jesus. Ooh, I'm trying to do the hard way. You got different string groups and that just like helped me tremendously. And even with comping, I integrated those. But in the beginning, just the easy chords. The Wine and Roses. 1, 2, 3, bo, be, bo, bo, be, do, be, bo, 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 I would have done that. There. I'm doing what I would have done. Simple chords, right? Nothing, no. Oh boy, no. Not necessary. Not really necessary. It's not about that.
But the rhythm.
It's about the feeling of the music. How the overall music makes you feel. That it has something to do with the sound, and maybe some people are intellectual. They're in their heads and they want to hear, I don't know.
Can I make a company-related question?
Yes.
So, you as yourself, when you play, and I'm comping for you, and I hear this superimposing thing you're doing, or this substitution, if I'm following you, is it nice or is it a pain in the ass?
Sometimes one, sometimes the other. If you do it too much, the
amount
latter.
The amount I was doing, the few courses we played today, how did you feel? Like I'm a student of yours. Was it too much or was it okay?
I think it was okay, especially because it's big. Like, just don't let it be a priority.
Yeah.
Because The thing about substitutions, if that's what you want to call it, that's what they call it.
Right.
That's what it's called. Is that they are alternatives. The purpose is to create tension. So that means maybe I want to hear the bass, the original bass note. And then with me playing this upper thing that then resolves. When we resolve, then it's like, right? Yeah. So that is valuable too. That's as valuable as doing it together. Yeah.
So
balance, good question.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good question. More like that. More questions like that. Or anything you want. Anything you want.
Man. I can't stop.
How did you develop the voicing that you play? All the voicings. I mean, you do it from records or by books, or you just found out yourself?
I think, my teacher, a guy in Harlem named Jimmy Carter, he wasn't a full-time musician. He had a job, but he played gigs on the weekends, and he taught on the weekends he had a studio in his home, and he taught me, like, the first tune he gave me was well, Let's Stay Together by Al Green.
Al Green.
So he had me hooked. He knew what he was doing. He had me hooked. There was a pop radio tune, and I had to struggle to get the bar chord. I struggled all week because I just wanted to be able to go back the next Saturday and comp for him while he played the melody. That was my goal. I got it. And he played with such a good feel. He played with his thumb, only downstrokes. Imagine this. I mean, that was him all day long, and I would just be there like loving it, eating it up. And then I'd go home and listen to Kool and the Gang and Earth, Wind and Fire and practice, whatever I was practicing. I wasn't practicing jazz then. I was in my little neighborhood band playing those radio songs, trying to play funk and R&B and stuff. But what was the question, or how did you
develop the
voicings? So he showed me. So yeah, he taught me this, and I teach this to my students. Just do them. Oh, what? Sorry, I'm screwing up. And I did that. Round the circle of fourths, right? 4 chords on one string, on the one bass note string, 4 chords on the A bass note, and then they flip. A starts, 4 chords, switch at the 5 chord. Why? So you see the whole diatonic series in a limited space, not just on one string. Then I get to Berkeley and they say, learn your major scales on one string. I'm like, what? I'm not doing that. I didn't do that. Adding voicings. At some point in my room, I did. How did that come about? I'm trying to remember. It was a long time ago, like 50 years ago. Yes, 50 years ago to the date. I was, in some kind of way, I realized, it's from the arpeggios. I think that's how it came to pass. when I realized that a C major 7 was an A minor 9. Or when I, something like that. And then I started to think, well, wait. No, I think maybe another way, too, was when I looked at this chord and I said, okay, well, where is this chord? Because I knew it was here, right? But, like, where is it? Is there one, right? Because all of these strings are adjacent. So, okay, so is there one? Oh, this. Okay, so wait a minute. What is that? And, like, okay, that's a system. Like, what is that system? Oh, it's called the raise 2 or the drop 2, right? I didn't know that. I just was figuring it out. So I said, okay, the inversion, first inversion. So I was doing it by the numbers. 1, 5, 7, 3. Okay, so 1, 5, 7, 3. So the second voice goes up to the top. So the close voice of the first inversion is going to be 3, 5, 7, 1. So 3, 7, 1, 5. Okay, so 3, 7, 1, 5. Wow, okay, that's cool. Now you're working on voicings. It's raised 2, but that's how you start to look at the fretboard.
And what about the original ones? The one that you came up yourself?
I don't think
specifically use. You don't do that?
Make up my own voicings? No.
Okay.
Why? Why would I do that? I mean, some, I know, maybe some people have some shit that they, and that's their thing. I don't know. I never thought that I didn't want to do that. That's not a priority for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I have some certain things that I like I like that thing on a dominant chord or a minor chord, or, there's certain things that I like that, I happen to come across that I like, but I'm not a scientist. I'm scientific because of the way I figure things out, but I'm not like I don't go that deep. It's really just for the purpose of not getting too bored with myself, really, because that can happen. And you're just trying to practice to prevent that from happening. So you could have just enough other stuff to do to fool yourself into thinking that you're improvising. You are improvising, but that you're doing something different than you. Nobody's doing anything different than they normally do in their chair when they improvise, right? So it's all predetermined. And then the moment kind of makes some shit happen that would normally happen, and you have to recover. That's when you're improvising, right? You're actually improvising the whole time because you're making a melody now, like composing, but right now. No time to go, oh no, I like this note better. Unless you, on the next chorus, or the next time you hit that chord and you make that note, you got, yeah, okay. Yes.
Mr. Broom, I have seen you play on YouTube videos like some beautiful chord melodies.
Yes.
And I was wondering, how do you go on constructing chord melodies, and how do you?
That has been my bugaboo, I can't think of the right term, but that has been my sore spot, solo guitar. I don't like it. So when there's a group that Kenny Burrell put together in 1986 called Kenny Burrell and the Jazz Guitar Band. He chose me and Rodney Jones, and then you have 3 guitar front line, and then he had Kenny Washington and a bassist that's no longer living named Dave Jackson. And so I'm thrilled, And so we get to the rehearsal. I still had my apartment in New York, so I came in from Chicago and went home and went to this rehearsal, and he says, okay, gentlemen, we're going to, we have this record date in about 3 months at the Village Vanguard and for Blue Note Records. Like, oh shit! And so we're gonna get our repertoire together, and we're also each gonna do one solo guitar piece. My fucking stomach went to my groin. I'm like, oh shit! No, don't do it. Okay, we're gonna do it now. Let's everybody do one now. Bobby, you want to go first? And I did whatever. It wasn't even that good. It was so bad. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't terrible, but inside me, I died that day. Literally. I felt dead inside. No one said a word when I played the last chord. No one said a word. Nothing. Not with any kind of angst or any kind of nothing. It was just blank. Just me and myself with my feeling. And I thought, oh my God, okay, I got 3 months to get this shit together. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I got 3 months, so I got to figure something out. So I got to the records. Joe Pass Virtuoso was way too much for me to, like, it was way too much to deal with. Like, I'm not going to sit there and try to figure anything out from that record. It's too much. And I said, okay, wait a minute. Let me listen to some, solo piano. Just get it off the guitar. So I don't remember who it was, but it hit me. Wait, it's just harmony. It's just chords. You know chords. All right, pick a song. So I picked Dolphin Dance.
That's hard too.
And I made an arrangement. And I just played it till I could just be as free as I could be playing it. And it didn't sound like everything was worked out. And then I also learned You Go to My Head, because it was my mom's favorite tune. That is somewhere hopefully in a vault, safely stored, because it didn't get released. But the Dolphin Dance did. It did get released. You can find it on YouTube probably, on Kenny Burrell and the Jazz Guitar Band. And it was okay. It was pretty good, actually, when I listen to it now. I'm like, okay, right, not bad. But I remember You Go to My Head being better. And, of course, they didn't release that. That's the story of my life. But fast forward, I still don't like it. I never liked it because I had a dilemma. Like, when I hear Joe Pass, I feel like he's making it up right now. When I hear a lot of people, I feel like they're making it up right now. Some of them are, because they're so familiar with things, the instrument and something, they have that proclivity. I don't. Some people aren't making it up. I mean, some people have it pre-arranged, and then it depends on how much you play it. So, like, for instance, I don't know if you've seen the video of me and Russell the year before he passed, and I knew he was gonna do this, so I said I gotta get two songs together to have for each set, one for each set, because I know he's gonna say, man, want to play a solo piece? That's his thing, So I got the two together that I had, that I knew. And looked at him again and felt pretty good, And so we get to the gig. We're sitting there, and he said, "You want to do a solo piece?" I'll go first. So he goes first, and he plays this piece, and it wasn't perfect. And I was like, "Okay, good," because he's human. No, not because he. No, because it's human. I'm just want to deal. It's not about I'm the bad motherfucker and I'm the best. No, we're all human. Okay, he's human with that too. Cool. Okay, and then he says, okay, you want to go? Go. You want to go? I'm like, no, I'm not going right now. Like, let's play another song or two or whatever. So we play another song or two, and then he says, you want to do your? I said, yeah, okay. So then he grabs the mic, and I grabbed his hand, and I said, no, don't introduce it. Don't make it a big deal. Stop. I got it. I just started playing it. And the shit was pretty good. And I was like, okay, good. Right? Just no announcing. No, none of that. It was something that I had. This is how I did it. I would be sitting around and I say, oh, let me see if I can do a chord melody on this tune. And I would play a couple of things, just like, the first couple of, I could find the notes and the sound, I can hear, and I know my fretboard, pretty well. And so, and I go, okay, yeah, that's nice. But then my ear starts to do things like, oh, move the bass note. Like I hear like kind of orchestrally in a way in my head. And so I just apply what I'm hearing to and make it come out. There's a sound, there's a chord I'm hearing, I don't know what it is. I don't care what it's called. It's a sound. That's it right there. Oh, and then I would just record it, like get it together. Get the first A, nice. Get the second A, cool. The bridge, okay, now practice it till I can do it all the way through. This is a lot of work. Put it on a video file and forget about it, because I can't play solo guitar. I don't think it's any. I didn't think it was good or not a big deal. But I want to keep it because I like what I did. But that's it. Okay, next. 6 months later, a year later. Oh yeah, remember I did that? I think I did that tune on solo guitar. Let me see. There it is. What? Oh shit. I need to keep doing that, and it's good. It's not like what I initially thought, like it's all right, or whatever I initially thought. I tried to talk to Peter about this subject, and he just won't be open about it, because I've got so many questions of his knowledge of the fucking fretboard, but he won't. I guess I have to pay him money. I'm not doing that. We just play together, and that will suffice, I guess. But it's a weird thing. So I'm saying it out loud. Fuck. I already said it out loud in one form. So, my university, you get a sabbatical after a certain amount of time. So I applied for a sabbatical, which means you take some time off but you have to do something. You write the proposal to do. What are you going to do in your sabbatical? So I'm like, okay, this is going to be the way that I have to make it happen. Because so many people say, I love your solo guitar stuff. You need to do a record. And I go, yeah, I know. And so I wrote the sabbatical proposal as that. I'm going to do a solo guitar record. Fuck. So, we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it's the more I do it. I remember I had a solo guitar gig. It was probably back in the 80s, late 80s, maybe early 90s. I was playing at a place by myself once a week, and I saw it get better. So it's just like that. It's like sight reading. I could never sight read. No one taught me anything. No one gave me any advice about sight reading. They just chided me. They just said, you can't read. I went to one community music school on the Upper West Side. I can't say the name of it. The guy's still alive. In fact, he contacted me not long ago. I went to this place, and I'm in these workshops and playing in these little groups and stuff, and taking these different kind of like, you know, lessons that he's devised or whatever. And he says to me one time, you know, you could be a good player, but you're not going to amount to anything because you can't read. I'm like 15. It's like, way to break somebody's spirit. Like, I know I can't read. I remember some summers like pulling up, well, get flute books. That was the advice. Get flute books. Okay, so I went out and got flute books. It's like I was seriously trying. So I'm gonna get the flute book out in the summer, you know, before I go outside to play. And every morning I'm gonna practice a half hour, at least 20 minutes with the flute book. And then I'd just be sitting there with the flute book. Okay, this one is in E flat. I'm here. I don't know. Like maybe, you know, I don't know. So I'm like trying to be in E flat. I don't know what the notes are, and there's no E flat here. This is not E flat. So I'm up, stomach churning, feeling like I'm gonna, you know, is excruciating for days on end. Like, that's not cool. And so that's what it was. This was strong, something else, you know. So I was able to function and make you know, fulfill some opportunities. But one day I had an epiphany. Wait, this is years later. What if you put your hand in one of the key signature, the scale fingering of the key signature? So if it was in E flat, you could be in E flat here, or E flat here, or E flat here, or wherever, according to the range of notes. If the highest note is this F, then maybe you want to be in this E flat. Or maybe you could do this E flat and just go up, move up here for the F, right? That's an epiphany. Cool. That's one part of the equation for me. The other part, I didn't know yet. So I was like, okay, file that one away. The next epiphany was, it came to me, this app called Sight Reading Factory. I don't even know how I found out about it, but I found it and I looked at it, and it had all the aspects that I pulled the other epiphany out of the file. With that one, earlier one, and this tool, because you could set, I could say the lowest note is F, this F, and the highest note is this A. Cool, okay, and then it's in the key of C, okay? 50 beats per minute, no sharps of no accidentals, no expression markings, just eighth notes, no whole notes, it's a waste of time, no half notes, waste of time, quarter notes, eighth notes, no 16ths yet, I'm not ready. Go. After a minute, you know, first week, kicked my ass, it didn't feel good. I did it every day anyway. 15 minutes a day. Week 2, this feels better. It's starting to get better. Okay, cool. 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day turned to eventually 20 minutes a day. The process was, okay, I'm staying right here. Every key I can do right here. Next key, let's do G. Oh shit, that F sharp's kicking my ass. That's okay. A couple of weeks later, I'm good. I think I should move on. Next key, let's do D. 2 sharps. Okay, same process. So I'm doing F. I'm doing what else? That's it here. Time to move on. I think I want to do A flat rather than D flat. Kick my ass every day. Now I've added. Eventually, I don't know what fret I was on, what key I was in, but eventually I started adding accidentals, and my rhythm, I did this shit for 3 years, every day. 15 minutes turned into 30, and sometimes a little more. Why? Because it was feeling good. I felt like, shit, this is like exercise. I'm accomplishing something, and it feels good right before dinner. And I remember one day I came out of the room, sat down at dinner, I said, honey, I can read! Like, I was reading this is where I stopped, and then life changed. Something happened. I think I got the gig teaching. I was here. I was reading accidentals. I was reading 16th notes. Like, fuck, unreal. And it's all lost. I haven't kept up with it. But it's possible. So everything is possible if you dedicate yourselves to it. Okay? It just is a matter of whether you do it or not. Right? You can't do everything. That's what I say to myself. I didn't, so I mean, I guess I could if I wanted to. I guess I don't want to. That's okay. I mean, you know, you make the best of with what I have. Now, if you would indulge me, I have a question for you. I was thinking about this. Are you all aspiring musicians, or are you some of you hobbyists, or like what's the? I'm trying to read the room. Are you all really serious about this? Are you all some of you just doing it as a fun, you know, like a hobby, or you know, advocate, you know, whatever that word is? I can mix those up. But
There's both.
hands, people that want to pursue this as a living, a livelihood,
Or they doing it.
or they're doing it already. Okay, and then yeah, raise your hand. Shit. You're playing. You got your guitar. I want to hear you play. Yeah, but I want to hear you play. You're a legend.
There's two guys.
Okay, both of y'all legends. Both of y'all play. But okay, but before they do, I want to ask. Okay, and then the rest of you are kind of like, you know. All right, so. Yotis, right? Yotis, please, come on, man. Come on, man. Yotis, come on. No. You go sit down. You got yours? No. Please. Come on, man. We live in a time now where it's very difficult to do this music. And that was part of the thing I was asking the question about who's trying to do this, and you know, who's, you know, and my next question was going to be what are your opportunities? I feel like I'm in my classroom. I don't stand for that. What are your opportunities? What are your opportunities like here? How do you make it happen? And we can talk about that because that's important. We live in an age where either you have to be hot shit and then you do your own thing. So that's erasing apprenticeship, which is super important. It's part of this music. It's apprenticeship. You have to learn from the masters that are elders because you don't really know anything. Just because you go to 4 years of school, you think, you know something? Yeah, you know something like blah, 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 blah. But there's a lot more to this music than a whole lot more depth and meaning than just technical mastery. For me, it's like, and all of the people that I love and have played with, and yeah, they're technical masters, but in a different kind of way. And that's not the most important thing. So, just answering your question, I found a group of musicians that became my friends. We were like-minded, and we were around the same age. I'm talking about was probably 30, late 20s, 30. I've found two groups of musicians in Chicago. One I could do my trio, it eventually became the trio, and the other one was the organ group, right? These were people, we're all around the same age, we all love the music the same, right? Now we can get together and
kind of grow our vision, right? But it's like workshopping. It's like development, right? And it took a long time for the organ group to even realize, wait, we have something kind of special. We should pursue it. We played for 15, 20 years before we actually started to record. And that was okay because we were having a great time doing the gig here, doing the gig. I get a gig, it's the Bobby Broom Trio. He gets a gig, it's the Chris Foreman Trio. You know, just living through the music. Then you get a little older and maybe you make a record because you want to document how you sound. So, you know, just having some vision, having some dream, but it's not about, oh, I'm the greatest or look at my technique, it's not that. The record with Modern Man and Stan, I think that was kind of a breakthrough because I was 40. I had just gotten off of the job with Dr. John. I didn't have any kind of body of work, but very few recordings. I'd been on this gig for 6 years as a not playing jazz specifically. And actually, when he fired me, he said, "You got stuff on the guitar you need to go do." That was one of the things he told me. And I knew it was true because of what I just said. I knew I'm a jazz musician. I need to make some records to establish that. It's fine for me to know that, but I need everybody else to know that. I had an opportunity to make Stand. I did that. I also had an opportunity to make Modern Man. And so I called Ronnie Cuber, a mentor of mine and a friend. But a mentor, somebody that I worked with when I was 19 years old. He called me to play in his band. And I've been in touch with him ever since. He passed, but... and he recommended me for the gig with Dr. John. And he used to tease me. Man, we need to do a cookbook record. I'm like, Ronnie, stop, man. That's not funny. That's blasphemous. I'm not doing no cookbook. I'm like, dude, a cook... I can't, don't do that. And I thought he was being, funny. He's edgy anyway. But when I had this opportunity, I called him up. I said, man, when you say that to me, because he'd say it once or twice a year, I said, were you serious or were you fucking with me? He said, no, man, I was serious. He liked the way I played. So I said, okay, I got an opportunity to do a record. Let's do something. I said, can we get Lonnie? He's like, I'll call him. And then I talked to Lonnie. It's like, who you want on drums? I said, I don't know who you like playing with. He said, I'll call Idris. Let's get Idris. Ooh. And that was it. And we go in the studio. So this is based on my relationship with an elder. Someone that cared a little bit about how I played. Right? This is developed over 20 years. 20 years. Right? So it's not about fame and fortune or right now. And then we get in the studio and I'm in there with these, veterans and they treat me like the leader because it was my record date. Idris was the most beautiful, learn the music. We did one rehearsal and the next day we come into the studio and he was playing the music like he wrote it. I'm like, oh my God, he remembered every little thing. And made me feel great. It was the easiest record I ever made. Yeah. So did that answer your question? Relationships, patience, having a vision and seeing it through. Even if when I made any of those records that you guys say you like, some of you, I didn't know anybody was going to hear them. I didn't know people in Greece would be hearing my music. I had no clue. None. I just had a vision. I want to have this group. I want to do these tunes. I want to do this. I want to make a record. 20 years later, boom. So keep on keeping on. Okay, now I'm going to hear some music. Shut up. This dude's he's an artist. He's an artist. Like, he didn't play half the shit he can play, did he? Right? I can tell. Yeah, you're an artist. Tell him what I said. He's an artist. I can tell. He's like, man, I don't feel like playing. You want to rap? What do you want to do? You want to wrap it up? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. A 1, 2, a 1, 2.
I wanted to see the first tune. You know, you were kind of holding back. I said, that's not him. He's not. I wanted to see who you were. I saw a little bit there. You can tell him what I said. Yeah, man. Really nice. All right.
Okay. Let me pass my guitar.
Yeah, you put this in there.